G'day everybody and welcome back to the Pokestraya YouTube channel. It's Jordan here. Today I am back on the Pokemon trading card game online. Before I get started, I just want to talk about a couple of things real quick. Firstly, I want to apologize. It's been about a week since the last upload to the channel. I was sick for the majority of last week and yesterday was my birthday, so I really haven't had a chance to record anything. I was pretty flat out today, that's why I'm on the Pokemon trading card game online. Also, I'm going to be playing a Garchomp Talonflame deck today. If you haven't seen the video already, PTCG Radio uploaded a video titled The Best Game Ever, and it was a matchup between a Garchomp deck and a Darkrai Giratina deck, and this Garchomp deck was very interesting to me. Garchomp was a deck that I've liked pretty much since its release, but never really found success, but it's a really good game and a really cool list. This isn't the player's exact list. The player's name was Shai, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that one right. I don't have his exact list. I've kind of built this a bit differently. So we're just going to play this today. So let's get started. Garchomp, I think, is probably the best budget deck as well in the format. This deck doesn't play Pokemon EX at all. You just need the Talonflames and you're good to go. Talonflame is probably the most expensive card in this deck. Actually, probably VS Seeker, I suppose. It's a very cheap deck to build, and it's pretty fun as well. I don't know how competitive this is, really. You can't really judge how good a deck is from just watching one game. But I was interested by watching the video over there. I'll leave a link to that match in the description as well if you want to go and watch it. I would recommend watching that before you come here and watch this one. It's a really, really good game, and I definitely recommend checking that one out. So we're just going to play a couple of games here today on the Pokemon Trading Card Game Online with this Garchomp deck. We are going to want to go first. The ideal setup here is to start with a Talonflame to get things going. We're going to mulligan once, and it looks like we're playing against a Fight Alone Lucario deck, which is interesting. You don't see it too much. I'm not sure what else was going to be partnered with this. I think it was the Steel Fighting types are the only two types. So that probably means my opponent isn't playing Shaman just like me. It is also quite annoying because Garchomp's really good against EX Pokemon. Against Fight Alone Lucario, however, it might not be too good, just purely based on the fact that you're going to be trading prize for prize here in this matchup. None of us play EXs. I'm presuming my opponent doesn't play EXs. Well, actually, the fighting type Pokemon would be the Riolu, so I don't know if this is just like a 4-4 line. Then I think we'd have the advantage here. Now, of course, we are only playing 3 Talonflame in here and 4 Gible. I did want to play 4 Talonflame. I cut it just to make space for some other cards in here. We're mulliganing a lot, but we do start with the Talonflame, and we're also going to start with a Gible and a Level Ball. So we do have quite the good start here. And a Sycamore in hand. We do have a Gabite in hand. We do play Super Rod, so it's not too bad. And let's see what my opponent is going to start with. They're going to take 3 mulligans here, and they're going to take that start with the Riolu. So I did draw a VS Seeker off the top deck, which is not the best. However, we are going to need to get set up pretty quickly. I actually could just wait a turn and evolve to a Gabite. And I think I actually might do that. I'm in no rush to really get some energies on the board at this point. Talonflame's going to be a good wall to start up with. I'm assuming my opponent isn't going to Wally here. If they do, that would be very surprising. They do play Wally, however. They do need 2 energies though, so I don't really see the point in Wally here. Unless they're going to Max Elixir to the Riolis and Wally, or if it's a Riolu that's sitting on the bench with an energy already, and then the following turn they attach again, and then Wally. I don't think Wally's very good in this Fight Alone Lucario deck. My opponent is going to Lysander. They're going to bring up one of our Gibbles, which is fine. Garchomp does have free retreat. Unfortunately, a Gabite does not. So I've got 2 options here. I could evolve the active. I think it's better to probably just evolve the bench here and hope for a rare candy Garchomp here, which is a lot easier to get. I drew some better stuff, I guess. I drew the escape rope, so I can get out of this. We're gonna take the Sycamore here from this trainer's mail, just so we do have something. I really don't want to be discarding. Well, I won't be able to discard the Garchomp because I do have the Gabite there. I'm gonna go up into the Talonflame. Of course, Garchomp did lose the big card in Karina, so this is kind of Talonflame. Kind of just takes over from Karina, I guess. We are going to hit for 40 here. We're going to grab a Garchomp and a rare candy. We didn't prize any rare candies, which is good. Alright, so Garchomp did have some form of support in the form of that Karina. We've lost that. A lot of fighting decks did take a hit from it. Garchomp being one. Things like Gallade Octillery as well took a hit. I mean, Gallade Octillery wasn't the best deck in the format, but also a decent beginner deck. It's actually a deck that's kind of been getting talked about as well. I don't know Gallade Octillery is very good at the moment as well, but we'll have to wait and see. We're going to see another Lysander from my opponent. Going to bring up another Gibble. Now, I'm not actually too sure. Okay, so it just hits 50 for 1 energy. We actually win this turn here. Oh, no we don't. We're going to rare candy this one. I thought we hit for a lot more than what we do. We only hit for 60. Do I want to go for the strong energy this turn? And I think I may as well. We'll chuck down a Silent Lab. I don't think it matters here. And we're just going to dig for a strong energy. And there we go. We hit the strong energy. Even if we missed that, we still would have been able to get the energy and Turbo Assault anyway. So we are going to hit for the knockout here on this Fight Alone Lucario. And of course, Pokemon's going to make us do this, even though we win. So we're going to play another game with this one, because it was pretty quick. So we'll jump in just a second, once this allows us to. So you can kind of see the synergy between the Talonflame and the Garchomp. It's essentially a Karina, which is in the form of an attack, which does 40 damage as well. It can allow you to set up for that turn to Garchomp. Zimmerman _12. I wonder if this is Dustin Zimmerman. Doubt it. Alright, so we're going to win the coin flip as well. So I think Talonflame is probably the best way to play any stage 2 Pokemon at the moment. We'll happily start with the Talonflame. We do have things such as the Skylar in here to get us a Level Ball, to get us a Gibble down. We do have an Ultra Ball, which we don't really want to play. And we also do have access to Aerial Blitz. So it looks like we're going up against a Froakie here. I'm going to attach an Energy. I could also Skylar for a Sycamore. And then Ultra Ball for a Gibble. And I think that's probably what we'll do. Skylar's another card that really finds its way into this deck, just because sometimes you do need to just Skylar for the rare candy. So we'll get the Sycamore. We will Ultra Ball away the Fighting Energy and the Now I know one card that Shia did play that I don't is an Eco Arm. I think he played one. And I don't have that, so I don't know really. Well, you know what? I'm going to wind up Sycamoring away these Bursting Balloons anyway, so I may as well go for it. We can keep the Gibble if we can somehow top deck the rare candy. We'll get a turn to Garchomp going, which is very nice. And we're just going to pass turn here. We can't attack first turn, obviously. And of course, my opponent playing a Greninja does mean that they have missed the turn 1 Talonflame. They could hit us with a Bubble here. Otherwise, I think we're in a pretty good position. We're going to be a lot faster than my opponent. Unfortunately, I don't play anything such as Hex Maniac to stop my opponent. My opponent's going to Dive Ball for the Remoraid. You don't really see Octillery in Greninja anymore. We're going to see another Dive Ball coming down here. Especially with Talonflame, you rarely will ever see the Octillery in Greninja again. Just because Octillery does it a little bit better, you don't really need the extra draw. Even before Octillery is a thing, people weren't really playing it just because it honestly wasn't that good. We'll just attach a Bursting Balloon here. There's no real reason. I doubt we're going to see a rare candy into a Greninja to attack us here. So we're just going to Sycamore away our hair there. We could get ourselves a Garchomp into play this turn, or we could wait a turn. And I think we're just going to wait the turn. We'll Level Ball as well. We'll take ourselves a Gibble. Start to get some more Gibbles down. And then I think we'll just Aero Blitz, probably for an Energy here. It sucks we're missing the attachment this turn as well. So we'll hit for 40 onto this active Froakie. We'll take ourselves a Gibble and probably a Strong Energy. Yeah, that seems like a good move to take here. I didn't want to play down the Silent Lab. There's no real reason to it unless I find a counter stadium. If my opponent's playing something like Rough Seas, then I would probably want to play the Silent Lab just to counter their stadium. However, Silent Lab's not a real big threat to my opponent, just because they're playing the stage 1 Octilleries and the Greninja Breaks, I should say. You know, that is 3 dive balls played from my opponent. The Greninja Break is obviously not a basic either, so Silent Lab's pretty useless in here. My opponent is going to dive ball. Do they have 3 more Frogadiers in deck, though, is the question. We're going to see right now if they've prized any Frogadier. That could be huge in this matchup if my opponent has prized any Frogadiers. And they have not. Luckily with Talonflame, we are going to be able to take another knockout over this thing, or we could just promote the Garchomp. So we do draw a VS Seeker. We're just going to start powering up this one, I suppose. I actually probably shouldn't have put the energy there. We're going to Ultra Ball. We'll get rid of the Talonflame and the Silent Lab. It doesn't really matter. I could have played the Silent Lab, but it wouldn't have slowed my opponent down at all. We're going to take the Garchomp here, and we will rare candy into Garchomp, just so we can get these Gibbles. There's no point really playing the Garchomp onto this Gabite here if I've got the rare candy. I probably should have put the energy onto this one. Hopefully I can draw into another Garchomp. If not, we are going to be able to Aero Blitz and grab myself one. And we do see another Garchomp here, and we're in a pretty good position here as well. We're going to Trainer's Mail. We'll take the actually we'll take the VS Seeker. VS Seeker is probably better for us here. Now I've got a couple of options here. I could retreat. I could start accelerating some energies. We've only got 1 energy in the discard pile. Yeah, I think I might just do that. We can keep this Talonflame here. Usually you do want to just kind of keep the Talonflame alive for as long as possible and just doing whatever it can. However, I think in this circumstances, I kind of do need to outspeed my opponent. We are going to be trading prize for prize here. I do want to get a nice lead in the prize trade-off here. And I was considering just using Aero Blitz with this Talonflame, but I'm glad I didn't. I do draw into the Ultra Ball, which is going to be very nice as well. That means we're going to be able to get our 3rd Garchomp going. And we are also have an escape rope in hand, which could be very useful as well. We're going to see an Evo Soda from my opponent. I don't believe this is the real Dustin Zimmerman. We're going to see the Evo Soda coming down. Onto the Greninja. Does my opponent have a supporter? They haven't played anything as of yet. They get Abyssal Hand, obviously, to draw 4 more cards. I don't think they've actually played a supporter this entire game, which is very lucky for me. We are going to be able to escape rope, however, next turn, and we can either take out any 4 of those Pokemon. If my opponent decides to promote the Octillery, we're going to be able to take away their draw support. Otherwise, we're going to be knocking out a Greninja. Well, we could threaten to knock out a Greninja, or we could knock out a Greninja, either way. Or we could just knock out this Froakie and jump 2 prizes ahead. The problem is, Greninja Breaks, if he can get 3 down, he's going to be able to start doing a lot of damage. And I think the best option for us here is to just escape rope, forcing my opponent to... Well, we do have a Lysander here. We're not going to be able to do enough damage to knock out a Greninja. So maybe it's best for us to just retreat into this Garchomp. We're going to rare candy here. Now the risk is, do I play down a Gibble here and risk my opponent taking another prize card? I don't think I should. I think I should... it's a tough decision to make, really. We may as well, I guess, playing down this Gibble could go my opponent into attacking, putting the 60 damage onto the Gibble to take the 1 prize card instead of loading it up onto a Garchomp. We'll take the Sycamore here. This Greninja cannot do enough damage to one-shot a Garchomp without the Giant Water Shuriken, so I think we should be okay benching this thing. We're going to draw some strong energies, which is really what I was searching for. We're going to put down the Bursting Balloon. We're going to Trainer's Mail. We'll take the VS Seeker, or we could take the Super Rod. I don't really want to play Super Rod because I don't want to get rid of the energies in there. We'll take the VS Seeker here. And we're going to Turbo Assault for the knockout onto this Froakie. So the good thing is now we're 2 prizes ahead. My opponent could jump one prize ahead next turn. Not one prize ahead. They could. I don't think there's a way. The only way they can take a multiple prize turn is if they've got Greninja Break, a Greninja Break, 3 water energies here. And I just don't see my opponent having all of that. And if they do, I think I could just end my opponent. I could also VS Seeker for a Lysander next turn to take another prize. We are going to see an Ultra Ball away 2 Shaunas, which is interesting because my opponent has only played a Wally this game. We're going to see that Greninja Break coming into hand. They're going to evolve the active. So now their potential plays are to soften up this active Garchomp, knock out the Gibble, or they're probably going to knock out the Gibble, I assume, and take the 1 prize. That's the play I'm expecting them to make. They could also potentially put it onto this Garchomp. No, they are going to take out the Gibble. I think the smart play was actually to go for this Garchomp here, because it does have a Bursting Balloon, so I doubt they're going to attack it this turn. Which is good for me. There's a Remoraid coming down and another Abyssal Hand here. I actually think we're in quite a good position here. We're going to see another Greninja Break coming down, however. This could be quite scary for us. My opponent could actually knock out our active Garchomp. If that's the case, we are able to promote this guy and get a revenge knockout on that one. My opponent doesn't have a following Greninja Break. This is going to be a really close matchup, I think. I really wish I had... Oh, we're going to see another Greninja Break coming down. If my opponent's got 3 water energies in hand, we could see a huge turn here. They could knock out this active Garchomp. That does give them 60 damage, however. We're going to see a giant water shuriken. They could also soften up one of our benched Garchomps. They decide not to. They could also retreat into a Garchomp and just giant water shuriken us again. Water energy coming down. And there's the Moonlight Slash. They're going for the knockout here. Returning the energy, taking the knockout. Going down to 4 prizes here. The unfortunate thing here is my opponent is in a much better setup than we are. Unfortunately, not being an EX Pokemon does make it a little tough for us to kind of get things set up. And I think my play here is to just end my opponent. They are going to be taking 4 cards. I'm assuming they can Abyssal Hand as well. I just kind of wanted to get the energy out of their hand and hopefully prevent them from drawing an energy. I am really looking for a Super Rod. We do get a Teammates. I don't know if that really helps us too much. I think we'll probably just take the Ultra Ball. There's nothing we really want to take in our hand. We are going to be able to bite off for the knockout, and if my opponent's got nothing to respond with this Garchomp, I'm assuming they probably might. I would have liked a Bursting Balloon down there. We get a Rare Candy here, which isn't the best card to see. And up comes the Greninja. I actually think my opponent might have this one here. They're going to Giant Water Shuriken. They can retreat, and yeah, I don't have a way to really answer a Greninja, except for Lysandering on Artillery and kind of just stalling my opponent out until I draw into something a bit better. We're going to see another Giant Water Shuriken. Onto this benched Garchomp. So I'm going to need to somehow find a Lysander. My opponent is going to get the Trainer's Mail. I actually probably should have taken this Artillery out turns ago, because my opponent has really been relying off the Artillery to draw their cards. We're going to see an Acrobike. My opponent playing a lot of different cards in this deck, a lot of weird cards as well. They discard the N with the Acrobike, and I believe my opponent's probably going to have me in this game. There's not much I can really do at this point. I'm down to 1 Garchomp and a Talonflame, unless I can draw into a Lysander and try and stall up this Artillery whilst I build with this Talonflame. That's probably my only real chance here. This is kind of where Garchomp does struggle against these non-EX decks. Things like Vespiquen, they just kind of outspeed Garchomp, which does suck. We're going to just play our card. We'll play down the Level Ball. We don't have any targets. We've got 12 cards in deck. We're going to end my opponent to 3. Again, they do have access to that Artillery. Sometimes it does suck not being able to play a Hex Maniac. Our cards aren't very good here. We are going to Aero Blitz. And I think we will take a Super Rod and probably Teammates here as well. I'm assuming this Talonflame is probably going to get knocked out here. My opponent does have 18 cards left in deck. You're going to see the Froakie coming down. Very interesting to see that come down. That could be a difference maker here. Now, if my opponent's able to Lysander up this Garchomp, I think that'll pretty much be game. We are going to see the Giant Water Shuriken, even just being able to do this. If they retreat and Giant Water Shuriken again, they can pretty much set up for a next turn knockout. So they are going to retreat here. Giant Water Shuriken to knock out my Garchomp on the bench, going down to 2 prizes. Now, my only real play is for an N. I took the teammates, which was kind of unfortunate, but even if I do end, my opponent does have this Octillery just sitting here. They're going to be able to draw cards, however. So maybe the best play is to try and find myself a Lysander, which I don't even think I have access to. We got 2 VR Seekers left in deck. We're going to see a Fisherman from my opponent. I haven't yet seen anything such as a Floatstone or an Olympia or any way of retreating this Octillery. So I think if we are able to bring this Octillery up, we might have a good chance here. Unfortunately, I did take the teammates. Maybe I should have taken a VS Seeker. We're going to get hit for 80 this turn. And we draw into a Sycamore, and I believe that's pretty much the game. There's nothing I can really do. All I can do is, yeah, we lose this one, regardless of what I do. I can't find a way out of this. I could Super Rod back in some Pokemon, then I just get the Pokemon with like a teammates or something, and then we're just going to see a Giant Water Shuriken and an attack here. I needed either a combination of an N or a Lysander to win this game. We are going to lose game number 2. We'll go for a third. Hopefully we can get into an EX deck. Against an EX deck would be the best thing. That's kind of where Garchomp shines. I don't know if Garchomp can really keep up with the Megas at all. You do need a lot of strong energies when it gets to that point. Hopefully we can get a good matchup here and kind of show off Garchomp against some good EX decks. It looks like we might be going up against something a bit random here. Could also potentially be a Volcanion deck. I think I saw Fire, Water, and Psychic. So possibly Volcanion with unknowns because the player doesn't own Shamans. They are using the Volcanion sleeves. And we are going to start Talonflame once again. So despite only playing such a minimal Talonflame line, only 3 Talonflames in here, we have been able to pretty consistently get this Talonflame on the first turn. And it looks like we are going up against a Volcanion deck here. I'm going to put this strong energy down here this turn, just because I know next turn I can just put the energy here. We're going to Skylar. Once again, I'm probably just going to take the Sycamore. Actually, I might take an N here. We'll take the N. And I'll put down a Silent Lab. This could slow my opponent down if they are playing like any unknowns, because I didn't see any colorless Pokemon, so that means they aren't playing Shaman EX. Now, if we do top deck a Garchomp and my opponent doesn't do anything, we are going to see a Scorched Earth coming down, which actually benefits me quite a bit. If my opponent doesn't bench anything, we are going to see an N, however. I did have the Rare Candy and the energy. If I was able to top deck the Garchomp, I'm not doing enough damage anyway. Our hand is considerably worse here. We're going to see 2 Volcanion EXs coming down onto the bench. And we're going to see a Power Heater for 20. Oh, our hand is not very good at all. We don't really have anything. I probably actually should have left the Scorched Earth out here. However, I'm trying to really just stall for some turns here. Yeah, I've got nothing really going for me here. I would have liked an energy that was basic, so I could have used this Aero Blitz attack. We're going to see an Ultra Ball here. For the Hooper, okay, so I think PTCGO might be a bit bugged. Unless they are playing Shamans, and, ooh, that was a mistake. They Hoopered without the Silent. I assumed they were just going to grab the Hooper and Sycamore. That could come back to bite them, that Hooper being benched. That's going to take up a bench spot. It could also be a potential Lysander target. We're going to see another Power Heater for 30 this time because of the Fighting Fury. But they're going to take 60 damage and not even accelerating energy. And we draw an Ultra Ball, which actually isn't a bad card here. We can afford to end turn, even if this thing does go down this turn. We're going to need to see some Steam Ups, however. My opponent really hasn't been doing much. I do have an Ultra Ball and a Rare Candy. So I'm going to be able to fetch myself a Garchomp and potentially start being able to power up some things. Unfortunately, I don't have any cards in my hand, and my opponent's going all out for Volcanion EXs, and they're playing the Max Elixirs, which is not really the way to play Volcanion, even though I played Volcanion a couple of days ago, and I played Max Elixirs. And my opponent is going to Trainer's Mail here, grabbing the Scorched Earth and playing it. So Talonflame, despite starting with it, has been quite redundant for me this game. I haven't really been able to effectively use it. We could see a potential knockout this turn on my Talonflame as well. My opponent Trainer's Mail for the Floatstone. And we're going to see the Scorched Earth being played from my opponent to draw 2 cards. And once again, just a power hitter for 30. So they're actually not looking at the Talonflame yet. However, they do have this fully powered up Volcanion EX sitting there on the bench. We draw into a Lysander. Okay, my opponent didn't play the Floatstone. I may as well just start attacking with Garchomp. It's not going to be doing too much here, but hopefully I can start to at least... I don't have energy in the discard. We're going down to 0 cards in hand. We're in full top deck mode. We're just going to Rare Candy into a Garchomp and start attacking, I suppose. We can start to put some pressure. This thing hasn't got any other energies onto it. So maybe we can build some damage on. Next turn we're going to be able to knock this thing out if it doesn't retreat. Of course my opponent could just Floatstone retreat into this thing and really put me under pressure. However, in doing that, they are presenting themselves with an EX Pokemon that can't attack during its next turn. Of course, I could always draw out of this as well, and they are going to need another fire energy to retreat, or some form of retreating this Volcanion in the active position. We're going to see a Trainer's Mail from my opponent. I would love to just draw a supporter next turn. Again, another Max Elixir coming down. And they're going to hit this one. Going to start powering up another Volcanion EX. Maybe the best play for them is to actually just attack me with this Volcanion, which they're going to do. It is going to allow me to take 1 prize card though, which is going to be very good. We do get a level ball. We can grab a Gabite, I suppose, and hopefully start to power up this Gibble. This has not been very good for us yet. We are going to need to, at some point, draw into a supporter. This guy's just going to come up and knock us out next turn. So hopefully we can get something going very shortly. That'd be lovely if we can draw a Sycamore off the prizes, and it's an Ultra Ball. Unfortunately, we don't play Shaman EX in this deck, and this is kind of where not playing cards such as Ultra Ball, such as playing that Shaman, do come back to bite. We do see 2 Volcanion EXs getting powered up here. And I actually don't think we're going to be winning this one either. My opponent's going to be able to retreat into this Volcanion EX and attach another energy to knock us out. We really need to draw an energy card here. And we draw a Teammates. That'll do. We're going to be able to take... We can take a prize this turn. We can take a Garchomp. And... we are going to need to take another energy because we've been doing 180. So it's a bit of a risk here, taking 2 prizes. I prefer that to the option of just kind of letting my opponent take the prizes and getting myself a supporter. I could also Scorched Earth. I don't really want to do that. We are going to get a knockout because this thing does not have a Fury Belt on it. We are going to lead the prize war here. My opponent is going to be down 2 prizes. Which is actually very good for us. This is kind of where Garchomp thrives, in that my opponent has to take 6 individual prizes, and I can just come up and knock out a big Pokemon EX, and there we see a Sycamore. So that gives me some hope. Even if this Garchomp goes down, we are going to have some other options for us. And my opponent's just going to Sycamore. My opponent going very thin into the deck. They've gone through so many cards. They've got 5 cards left in deck. And, you know, I just don't think they have all that much left to offer here. They are going to get only 1 fire energy from the Professor's Letter. So that makes me believe that they might be out. And this is getting quite desperate for my opponent. They've got 3 cards left in deck. They must have taken 2 energies there. They've got 3 cards left in deck. Of course, you could always end. They've got such a big hand that an end wouldn't be too bad here. Now, I could play the Bursting Balloon, or I could Ultra Ball. I think playing the Bursting Balloon is probably our best option here. I'm going to need to draw quite a few things here. We're going to Scorched Earth, just because we do draw multiple energies. Draw 2 cards, not the best cards. We'll attach to the Talonflame, and then I'm going to Super Rod. And we'll shuffle back in a Gibble, and probably a Garchomp as well. Yeah, 2 Gibbles and Garchomps seems good to me. Bit of a risky play here is to Ultra Ball away the Sycamore and the Escape Rope. Yeah, I don't really want to be escape roping my opponent. My opponent doesn't have anything to attack with next turn, which is very good for me. We are going to get another Gibble down here, and we're going to be able to Aero Blitz to fetch ourselves 2 cards. We'll probably take a Rare Candy here and probably a Gabite, I think. Or we could take another Gibble, which is probably better for us. Yeah, we'll take another Gibble. We do have VS Seekers in hand to grab us supporters. So yeah, my opponent not able to attack this turn. Even what they're going to need is to retreat into a baby Volcanion and hit us for 20. They've got rid of 2 of them. They could potentially retreat. My opponent's going to take the N, however, from the VS Seeker, which does kind of suck. We do have access to this Talonflame, however. My opponent's not going to be able to attack for a couple of turns here. Well, they can attack next turn, I suppose. Hopefully we can still find some cards here to get ourselves a Sycamore or an N, preferably Sycamore. We do see this Sycamore and a Rare Candy, which kind of hurts to see. I really hope a Fire Energy doesn't come down onto this thing. And we're going to see a Trainer's Mail as well from my opponent. They're going to whiff the Trainer's Mail. We also do have access to the Scorched Earth, which I don't believe I really want to play. I've only got rid of 2 energies. And we actually draw Rare Candy Garchomp, which is very good for us. We're going to get this Rare Candy Garchomp, we're going to get the Gabite, and we're going to have a Sycamore as well. We are going to be able to attack with this Talonflame here. Even if my opponent Lysanders up one of my Garchomps, I'm not going to be too worried about it. We also draw into a Level Bowl. So I am drawing into some really good cards here. I'm going to be able to really set myself up. I actually think I might keep these Trainer's Mails as well. I can't think of a card that I really want in my hand this turn. What I might do is use the Aero Blitz. I'm going to take a Strong Energy and a Garchomp from this. Hitting 40, we could potentially get a Lysander next turn as well. We've got all 4 VS Seekers in deck as well. We are running low on energy, so we're going to need to start using some Turbo Assaults. Luckily, this has got enough damage on it. Actually, I'm going to be 20 off. I'm going to need to somehow... My opponent's just going to Volcanic Heat the active. Very odd play from my opponent to make here. We're going to match them for prizes here. Okay, so my opponent actually does not have much left for him. We're going to get a Garchomp. We can Trainer's Mail now. We're trying to find a Rare Candy. We get an N and a VS Seeker. We could potentially take a Lysander and kind of stall my opponent whilst we set up these Garchomps with some energies on it. That's probably the best play we can make here. We do also want to try and get that Rare Candy going, and there's the Rare Candy. We'll save that other Trainer's Mail just in case of an N. So we're going to Rare Candy this Gibble into a Garchomp. So we do only have 2 basic energies in the discard pile. I think my opponents use 2 or 3 Float Stones. 2 Float Stones are down and an Escape Rope. So us Lysandering up one of these guys, I don't think it really matters. Well, we'll Lysander up this Volcanion with no energies on it. Unfortunately, if my opponent does have a Float Stone, it does mean they're going to be able to retreat and hit us for 130 and knock us out, which could be very bad for us as well. We are going to hit for 80, however, and we get a Strong Energy onto a benched Garchomp here. Even if that is the case, we should hopefully be able to hit an energy. We almost definitely should hit it off a Sycamore here. My opponent is going to Escape Rope. We'll go into the one with no energies, so we're going to be able to keep some energies here. They're actually going to go into the baby Volcanion, which is a very smart play from my opponent. However, if I'm able to reach and find another Lysander, my opponent's going to go for another N here. So this is where playing conservative, keeping those Trainer's Mails, does come back to kind of pay in my favor, because I am going to draw into one of those Trainer's Mails, which is really what I wanted to see here. I'm going to see a Fighting Fury Belt come down, which is quite annoying. It means we're going to have to Turbo Assault with a Muzzle with a Strong Energy twice to actually be able to hit the knockout. We get a Gibble, and my opponent's going to concede. And that's all I've got time for you today, guys. I think we were going to win that game regardless. We just had so much stuff going for us. And that really shows off Garchomp. So when you go against these EX decks, you do kind of have a really good advantage. I think if we ever transition into a full EX format. I think Garchomp's really got a place. Whilst things such as Vespiquen are still popular, and even things like Rainbow Road are still popular, it's going to be hard for Garchomp to kind of find its footing in the format. However, I would definitely recommend checking out that game on PTCG Radio's channel. I'll leave a link for it in the description. Thank you guys for watching this. I'll probably post this list on the Facebook page. Check us out at Pokestraya there. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.